the man who helped the career and signed artists like Billy Joel, Fleetwood Mac, ABBA, Cheap Trick, Johnny Winter, Rio Speedwagon, and produced many more. He is a Grammy Award winner and was nominated 8 times. In a business, we call people like him legend. Welcome back for part 3 with Larry Cohn.
Edgar and Johnny, who I kept trying to bring to the company, and nobody could see their value, and they were saying, well, the appeal must be because they're two albino brothers. I said, Johnny Winter is maybe the greatest blues player in the country, but he's going to be a great rock and roll star. I can tell you that. And Edgar, his brother, is not a blues guy. He's a jazz rock guy, and he is going to be capable of doing some unbelievable stuff because he has the ability to compose and write. So after a while, they finally, I don't know whether I wore them down or they understood that they were great, because Johnny was showcased at the Fillmore in Manhattan, and he just tore the place apart. I mean, the city couldn't stop talking about him the next day. So we signed them both the same day. Johnny went on the Columbia label, and Edgar went on the Epic label. Johnny got a $600,000 advance, and Edgar got $300,000. So that's my budget for the year, $900,000. And this was 1970 money.
Oh,
so
quite a bit.
That was like 6-7 times, the value. But they were great, and they were really two really nice people. Both very smart, very smart. Johnny, as you know, died about 6 months ago, which was a shame because he had substance abuse problems for 20 years, and he finally straightened out. And he goes on his first tour to Europe, and he dies of pneumonia in Switzerland.
Oh, it was only pneumonia?
Huh?
It was just a pneumonia?
Yeah, and Edgar lives close here. He lives down the bottom of the hill.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen him in a few years, but he's a very stable guy, no drugs, and he was married, the last time I saw him, to the same woman for over 20 years, and he still works from time to time, And then I had, REO Speedwagon, and I had Cheap Trick and Johnny Otis.
Johnny Otis.
We had some, really good people, I think, So
did a good job.
I had a pretty good run.
Yeah, I think so.
I think, and then there are a few people I tried to sign that I was not allowed to, like Jim Croce and Hall and Oates and Jerry Mulligan, the great jazz player. Yeah. And the company didn't want me to sign them, so the last two acts that I tried to sign were Hall & Oates and Jim Croce, and
no.
They said no. Everybody in the music business will strike out, the sin is not in trying, but I felt so strongly about these people that I felt that I should have been given my way, but it just didn't work out that way, So just move on, and just bite the bullet, that kind of thing. I was lucky that Playboy came along at a certain time and offered me a good job, financially, I kept telling them no, and then every time I said no, they would raise the salary, and I said, oh my God, Jesus, I don't want to go there, but a lot of pretty girls and a lot of money, so, and Hefner was very good to me, really was great to me, not so great to the company, but, they had their own big financial problems at the time, so they were losing money in every venture that they had, except the magazine.
Yeah.
But even the magazine, they had lost a great deal because Penthouse was becoming very popular and was taking away from Playboy.
Yeah. And they have those nightclubs also, they open.
Oh, the nightclubs were a disaster.
Yeah.
A disaster. Hefner said me and the guy who was the head of the film and television division at Playboy, we went around the country to check out some of the clubs and the hotels and stuff, and we said, it's a disaster. They're 20 years behind the times, get rid of them. You're not that's not your business. You're the magazine, that's it, So Listen, he was busy with other things at the time. I mean, to be rotating, he'd have one or two or three women, and then they would say his girlfriend is coming in through the back gate, so they would get rid of the three girls, and then his girlfriend would come and she would leave, and then three more would come in. I mean, it was a circus. I thought it was fun, funny. I mean,
it is.
I never got into it. My wife was always with me, so I never had a chance. But it was a little too much in your face, It was too much. For example, a girl would walk into my office, and she would say, "I'm a singer." I said, "Well, that's nice." She said, "Would you like to sign me?"
Already?
If you take care of me, I'll take care of you. Oh God. I'm as horny as the next guy, I mean, but this was a little too much, It was really too much for me. It was fun. I was happy to leave, though. I was happy to leave. So, but I was partners with Dylan, and then I also had a partnership with Eric Burden.
Oh yeah,
of the Animals. Yeah, for a couple of years, and we did a movie actually called Comeback that was loosely based upon Eric's life, and he was the lead actor. He was very good, and we did half of the film here in Hollywood, and half of the film in Berlin. And the German government paid for 65% of the film. Oh. And I did all the legal work. It was the only time I really practiced law was in Germany for a year, which was really interesting. It was really interesting. And then we put together a band, and we put Eric out on the road. We had another partner, and he and the other partner couldn't get along, and they're both calling me, "You have to come here." I said, "But I'm in Germany. I mean, you guys are in Australia." "Well, we're not getting along." So I fly from Germany to Australia, and the problem was that at each of the gigs, they weren't one of I think it was Eric, that was not satisfied with the amount of towels at each venue.
Oh yeah.
Towel? I'll buy you towels. I could have sent you towels from Germany.
What did he say?
Yeah, FedEx. So.
Well, you can buy them over there.
Well, I mean, they were just so stupid, and they were fighting over nothing. I mean, is that kind of stuff, and and then we got back to the States. We put together the best players in town, and my friend and I, the other partner, we paid for them out of our own pocket because Burden was broke. He didn't have a dime. And we put together a great band and that kind of thing, but they couldn't get along. And then Eric said to me, I won't continue with him, but you and I will stay together. I said, no, he's my friend. I wouldn't do that to him. Mm-hmm. So we called it a day, But Eric's still working. I mean, he's fine. And my friend has passed away since, so. But I had interesting people. Yeah. Some terrible people,
Sure.
But, some interesting people.
Do you have any Fleetwood Mac stories?
I'm still in touch with Mick. I get an email from him he lives in Hawaii, and I get an email at least one a week, just, nonsense stuff that we send back and forth to each other. They were under contract to a label in England, and we made a deal with the label. So I put out the first 7 LPs that came out in England, I put out in America. I kept telling them, you can't continue to be a blues band, you have to do pop stuff. No, we just do
blues.
We're bluesmen. We're bluesmen. The contract ran out. They go to Warner Brothers, and the rest is history. Yeah. But I do have one story. So they come to the States, and we are going to subsidize an American tour for them. We'll pick up the tab for everything. So they tell me, Mick says, we want to go to Chicago first and record a double album with Muddy Waters and a lot of the Chicago blues guys. Is that okay? And then we'll come to New York to meet with you, and then we'll go on the tour. I said, yeah, that's fine. So they go, and then they come to New York, and the the whole group is supposed to come to my office to have a meeting. So Mick calls me and he says, you have to come to the hotel and you have to walk us to the building, to CBS. I said, you're around the corner. Why do I have to walk you? They said, well, Peter Green, the lead guitar player, he's afraid. What is he afraid of? He said, well, someone pulled a knife on him in Chicago, and I didn't know that he had mental problems at that time. He went into an institution after the tour for 20 years, So I come over to the hotel and I walk them over in a line, the whole group, and we come to my office. So now I'm sitting with zombies because no one has anything to say and no one is capable of saying anything except Mick. So Mick does all the talking, and I'm thinking, oh Jesus, so, okay. And then I said, okay, so your first gig is Santa Monica Civic. They said, oh, okay, we're ready to go. And then the meeting breaks up, and I say, I think it's to Mick, somebody told me, I said, what's the story with the knife, that was pulled on Peter Green in Chicago? They said, knife? They said, the blade was this big. It was like a nail file, and he freaked out entirely. I said, oh my God. I said, this tour is not going to be good.
Yeah.
So they go to Santa Monica Civic, and they had a guy named Jeremy Spence, who was the keyboard player and played slide guitar. He was very, very good. Comes showtime at Santa Monica Civic, he's nowhere to be found. And they find him a couple of weeks later. He had joined one of these cults at the time. This is 1971 or 70, whatever. And they found him with his girlfriend sitting on a sidewalk begging for money with a white sheet over him.
That's sort of 70s, sort of the EP time, right?
The music business. Wow. Somebody asked me recently that they had a person wanted to get into the music business, and they know that, you've been in the business, do you have any advice? I said, yeah, I have advice. They said, well, we'd be glad to hear it. I said, tell the person to go to law school. Years ago, when I was doing music criticism and magazine writing and that kind of stuff, I wrote an article about B.B. King. I hadn't met him at that time. And B.B. was only pretty much known to black audiences at that point in time. And I wrote an article about this fantastic artist and that kind of thing. And apparently he liked it. It was in a jazz magazine, and it got pretty widely seen, read, whatever. And B.B. called me, and he said, we haven't met. He said, but the article that you wrote is the nicest thing anyone has written about me in my career, and I'd like to meet you. So, yeah, great. B.B. King, I mean, come on, I didn't tell him I used to buy his LPs for 50 cents because nobody wanted them. It's the truth. Yeah. When I went to law school, there was a store that sold nonsense stuff, but they had cheap LPs, and they always had B.B. King's latest LP for 50 cents. And I bought all of it. I still have all of them. So B.B. said, next time, and we're both in New York at the same time, I'd like you to come over, where I'm playing, and I'd like to meet you. So I went over, and he said, I'll be with you in a moment. He was backstage somewhere. I can't remember where he was playing. And then calls me over, and he apologized. He said, I'm sorry. He said, this young man that I was sitting with, I'm teaching him how to play the guitar, and he's teaching me French.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he said, that's a trade-off, So we talked, and we hit it off very well, and he said, be in touch. So some time goes by, and I'm at CBS, and he's at ABC, different record company in Charlie. And I get a call one night from his producer, who says to me, we just finished doing an album, and BB wants me to bring over one song to you and play it for you, and he wants your opinion. Now, I had nothing to do with him, two different companies. And I said, sure, come on over. So he came over, and he had an acetate, and I played it, and I said to him, wow. He said, I said, what's the concern? He said, BB's concerned that if he puts this out, he's going to lose his core audience, which is primarily black people. I said, tell him that his life is going to change now. The thrill is gone.
Mm. Oh, wow.
Which changed his life. And I said, this is going to put you into a different, strata, entirely different category, and you'll be playing big white arenas where a lot of white people go, not only black clubs and that kind of stuff. And that's exactly what happened. And we stayed in touch, and when I moved to Memphis, I told him I was moving to Memphis, which is where he was from. He said, look, I'm going to give you my aunt's address and name and phone number, and you call her when you get there, and she'll take you to the warehouse that has my record collection. And if there's anything you want to borrow, feel free to take it. And I did. And I went to his warehouse, which was bigger than this and had more records than this. And that was it. So that was my B.B. King experience. He really wonderful guy. He was really nice. Like I said to you early on, there are people that I met that were terrible people, and there are some people that I met that were really
nice,
exceptionally nice. And B.B. happened to be one of them. Exceptionally nice person, very intelligent.
Great musician.
Huh?
Extremely great musician.
Oh, great musician, and very shy about his, always said, people can play blues better than I can, and, I should have practiced more, and, that kind of thing. And then, hey, BB, give us a break.
Yeah.
We know you're great.
It's not so
You're
bad.
The best, You're the best. And then, health-wise, he was a lifetime diabetic, and he ballooned up, the last 10 or 15 years. I mean, he was huge, he couldn't even stand. I mean, he played sitting down. And then, passed away, and it was a great loss. It was really great. A great loss because he was a wonderful person, aside from his talent, which was, spoke for itself.
Thank you for watching À la Carte Los Angeles. Stay tuned for part 4 in an upcoming episode with Larry Cohn.